Hi, my name is Larissa. Welcome to my channel. So I just spent a week enjoying the sights, smells, sounds, and people of Barbados. So here are some of the ins and outs. Now I have this video split up into 3 parts. The general, just information, things to do, and food. Let's get into the general information. So Barbados is a small island in the Caribbean that was colonized by the British for the production of sugar. She gained her independence in 1966 and ever since then has been somewhat free. So if you're flying in internationally, it's more than likely that you'll be flying into Grantley Adams Airport, which is the airport code of BGI. Another way that's really popular to get to Barbados is through cruise ships. A lot of the cruise lines do have routes where you'll stop off in Barbados as one of the day trips. So let's talk about transportation. So let's go back to the part where I said Barbados was British owned for a while. Which that means that if you're like me and you drive in the US and most places all over the world, you're used to driving a certain way. Well, Barbados, they drive the opposite. Obviously, opposite is depending on where you're from, but for me in the States, it's the opposite side of the road. So that's one thing to consider if you're thinking about renting a car and trying to drive your way around Barbados. Now, if that doesn't bother you, that's perfectly okay. It's somewhat easy to transfer your brain to driving on the other side if you just really think hard about it. But another thing you need to think about is in the Caribbean, a lot of islands in the Caribbean and other places, they don't drive necessarily the same as the States, where there's a lot of stoplights or just general certain rules of the road that we follow. So your other 2 options that you're gonna have while you're in Barbados are going to be either to take taxis. Bonus points if you can secure a good relationship with one taxi driver and have them help show you around the island, because a lot of the times the taxi drivers are really, really passionate about their country and their home.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, madam.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
You're good?
Yes.
I'm good too.
So I will link Patrick's information down below. That way he can be your driver if you end up being in Barbados. And also the third and final way would be to be taking public transportation. Now I personally didn't take any public transportation while I was there because I did have a driver, but I was talking to him a lot about public transportation and a lot of Bajans take it, and you are able to take it as well if you're wanting to get to some of the more popular tourist sites, but it was definitely alluded to the fact that if you're trying to go somewhere a little bit more remote, it might be better off and easier if you do have your own vehicle to get from point A to point B. And so I cannot believe I got this far into this video without saying this first and foremost, but we are here. And I just want to say that if you are in Barbados and you call people in Barbados, the people in Barbados, Barbadian, they will get very upset. So let me help you out here from me to you and tell you, it's not Barbadian, it is Bajan. You say it with me? Bajan. Now, just don't say I didn't warn you. So Barbados is actually one of the places that you can travel to where English is the primary and pretty much only language spoken there. Now, it's also interesting to say this because while English is the primary language, it's still kind of like a mix and a meld and a blend. And so for me, it's pretty funny. I know that my friend Aaliyah and Patrick and everyone was laughing at me because I couldn't necessarily understand what everyone was saying off the bat. So it was still like a little bit of a translation, but it's not the same accent as like a British accent, but obviously there's like cultural melds of British and like, you know, Americanized English and also just like more of a Caribbean kind of twang almost. So it's almost like an accent, but then other words mean other things. So it is English, but maybe not the English you or I are super familiar with. So one more piece of information that I wanted to share with you is that in Barbados, all the beaches are public. Let's talk money. That was not that much Bajan money, you guys, but anyways, let's talk money. So Barbados is by no means a cheap island. If you're looking for, somewhere where your dollar stretches really far, unfortunately, that's not necessarily going to be Barbados. The current conversion rate is $2 Bajan to $1 US. Now, I know you might be thinking, okay, so that's not that bad. That can still do a lot. It really doesn't, because most of the prices and costs of things in Barbados is reflective of this. Let's talk food. Bajans are so prideful when it comes to their food. There's so many different flavors and things to try, and everything is just so fresh and delicious. I definitely got lucky because if I wasn't there with my Bajan friend or our driver, Patrick, then I definitely wouldn't have tried as much as I did. Barbados has opportunities to try some of the highest fine dining, expensive, right on the water, beautiful restaurants, and also some places you probably wouldn't have stopped yourself, but still serves amazing food. So one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you is make sure that you try everything in Barbados. You want to try the most classy, fancy restaurants, and you also want to try the kind of hole-in-the-wall, mom-and-pop style shops, because you really just want to get a completely immersive experience of food while you're there in Barbados.
What is that, Aaliyah?
Bajan ackee.
Okay.
Eat it. It's a fruit.
What kind of what flavor does it have?
You can't describe it. I don't know.
You're not
Like
good
a
at
Sour
this.
Patch.
So I've definitely got some honorable mentions when it comes to food while you're there. You definitely have to try souse, but it's souse, S-O-U-S, souse. You definitely have to try fish cakes. You definitely have to try saltfish and kuku, which I definitely thought it was like Jamaican saltfish, but it's prepared a little bit differently, so try saltfish. In Barbados, make sure, honestly, any fish that you're gonna have. So mahi-mahi, I think we had a swordfish, shrimp, all of it, amazing. Also, if you're gonna have anything there, make sure you try Mount Gay rum. They're very prideful and proud of their Mount Gay rum. And also, if you're gonna have rum, you might as well have some rum punch. I was living on rum punches. Also, definitely, oh, I cannot end this video without talking about Chefette. And having a roti from Chefette is like, honestly, like a Bajan custom. Like that was the first thing I got when I got off the plane, and also the first thing I packed into my bag, or rather bought at the airport and then had in my bag to eat on the plane. Also, honorable mention is Oystins. I didn't get to go to Oystins this trip, but it's definitely something I would like to go back and visit. Oystins is a restaurant which also has like a Friday fish fry, live music kind of place to enjoy. And I guess that kind of takes us into our next category, which is things to do in Barbados. First is Crop Over. This is a festival celebrating the end of the crop season, and it goes from about June to the first Monday of August, I do believe. And it's a really beautiful time where there's lots of different events happening, and you can really get a handle on Bajan pride in this season. There's parties, there's Juve or 4-day morn, and there's also Grand Kadooment. I participated in Grand Kadooment this year. It was the time of my life, you guys. And even if you don't want to come to Barbados and participate specifically in Grand Kadooment, you can go to the parties and you can also just watch, like more of a parade style. So that's something to think of and to be aware of when you are visiting Barbados. Also, one of the most amazing things to do is just go to the beach, you guys. Now, we all know you come to these vacation places sometimes for relaxation, and Barbados's beaches, like I mentioned before, are completely free to the public, so you don't have to worry about pesky rules about which beach you can and can't visit. I will say, in all honesty, Barbados's water is some of the most beautiful water I've ever had the luxury of floating along in, and it's a perfect way to spend an afternoon.
And give us Dr. Griffith. Go ahead and give us a lesson about what coral you found in this beautiful ocean today.
Let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
Almost Dr. Griffith.
I'm pretty sure this is varieties.
Speak up, please.
I'm pretty sure this is like finger coral. That's what they call it. It literally looks like a finger. But I'm not sure which one this one is because it's degraded a bit.
I thought these were rocks.
So another really popular thing to do is to visit Harrison's Cave. Now Harrison's Cave used to be just a place where you went and you went inside of this natural cave formation and you kind of came out and you were done. But they've actually, apparently really recently, really built up the area to where now it's more of like a day trip style place where there was adventure courses, there's a pool, there's like a nice little restaurant on site, there's a nature trail, a butterfly walk, birds, all of the shebang. So it's probably a really good place to book out maybe about half of a day to go and enjoy with your family. Harrison's Cave itself has a nice informational video telling you about the history of the cave and also like a bit of a museum where there's a few things to read to educate yourself about the history of Barbados as an island and then also the history of the cave and the formation and discovery of that cave itself. Also, at Mount Gay, they do have, I believe it's pretty new, but it's like a train ride where you're able to go up to this beautiful vista and it's like basically like going through the lands that the plantation owner did own. And I know it sounds like, oh, why would I just ride a train through a field? But it's actually a really beautiful train ride. And when you're at the end, you're looking over these scenic, beautiful views of the island of Barbados. And not to say that this happens regularly, but we did see monkeys. So that is something else to consider when you are taking that train ride. So something else to do when you are in Barbados, like I mentioned before, Mount Gay Rum is a huge rum distillery company, one of the main exports of Barbados at this point. And one of the things you can do is visit St. Nicholas Abbey. Now, St. Nicholas Abbey is the site of rum production and was also formerly a plantation. So you're able to visit the plantation home and also the distillery where Mount Gay rum is still produced today. Now, usually I don't make it a point to visit plantations, but I do think that there's something to be said for learning the history and to be able to understand the culture of where you are and what was there before you. So something that's really interesting is you're able to see the actual home itself with it, which is a Jacobean mansion. It was built in 1650 something, I believe, and it's still pretty much intact. You're able to walk around like the bottom floor of the home, and there's also a rum tasting included in the package for what you book when you do visit St. Nicholas Abbey. The rum tasting is pretty cool. You're able to obviously like taste the final product of the Mount Gay rum that's made there at the St. Nicholas Abbey. They show you the process of the production. Obviously rum comes from sugar, so they show you like how the sugar is boiled down and like what makes it such a special and distinct flavor and taste that is Mount Gay rum. So if you're a big rum enthusiast, or you know, I think it's just important to know where things come from, that's definitely something to check out. Another thing you want to make sure you do is to take a snorkel / just boat day. Now obviously Barbados, being an island, is a really beautiful place and the water is so clear. I can honestly say that like there's not very many places that I've been to that rival the Bayesian water. My friend and I took a boat tour with Cool Runnings Company, I believe. I will have them linked in the bio. We did a sunset tour actually, so we were able to go out and snorkel a couple different spots. We saw a shipwreck and some really cool fish around it, and we also saw some turtles, which was really fun. They were really like social and they weren't really that scared of humans, but it was a really cool thing to do. The tours also feed you, so that was nice. So included in our inclusive package, which I can't remember exactly how much we paid, but within our inclusive package, it covered 2 snorkel spots, obviously all of the snorkel gear, being out on the boat, dinner, unlimited drinks, and watching the sunset. So that was really enjoyable. Oh, I think it was about $80 US, 80 to 90, and then also, you know, gratuity and tip.
Yay! Swim to the thing, I'll give it to you. What if it sinks? Home run.
So that is all I have for you guys today in terms of Barbados. Like I said, this was my experience from my week or so in Barbados. I know that there's more to do. I know that there's some beautiful hikes to do. I'm sorry and sad that I didn't get to go to Oistins on a Friday to see the fish fry, Oistins Friday energy. I know that there's also Animal Flower Cave, which is a beautiful cave to visit that you guys should definitely do if you have time. Barbados was a beautiful island, amazing, amazing water, and the people were so kind and warm. It's a place that I would love to go back and visit, and you guys should check out. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Are you planning a trip to Barbados? Are you from Barbados? And did I get this right? Let me know. Enjoy watching my other video about crop over if you are interested, and please like and subscribe. Bye guys, have a good day.